Welcome back. All right, so 5 games today in the National Hockey League. I didn't review this one on its own because I thought, well, Seattle and Chicago. I'll just put it in with these ones, and off we go because there is nothing late today, so that's good news. Nothing late means I can catch up on Doctor Who tonight. So, all right, first up, the Seattle Kraken in against the Chicago Blackhawks. Yep, this was the morning game. It was Jones versus Stalock. The early jump was for Seattle. They looked very good. It looked like they were picking up where they left off against Colorado. Schultz fires one wide as they push. Seattle wasn't hitting the net very much, but on their third shot it goes in. It's McCann from Geekie and Coolman at 5:46. Geekie was a late addition to the lineup as Yanni Gourde was out for personal reasons. Gourde's supposed to be in the lineup for the next game, though. Hawks press for an answer, but at 7:31, Burakovsky, on what was the fourth shot of the game, gets the second goal. He wires it, Eberle with the assist. So it's 2-0 Seattle. We're not even 8 minutes into the game yet. McCann then has a shot that's saved. More pressure by Seattle. The shots are 5-2 at the half. Eberle fires one high on a 2-on-1. Geekie nearly buries one. It's really all Seattle at this stage. Athanasiou was then denied on a net drive. The Kraken get a power play. Now, I'm not sure what's going on with Chicago when it comes to power plays, but I think they play better shorthanded than they do 5-on-5. Jujhar Khaira gets a goal from Blackwell at 17:04, and that was on a turnover. So Chicago gets on the board. So that's killed off. They finish the kill. Then they get themselves a power play with 1:43 left, and they score on it. So again, it's not 5-on-5. Tyler Johnson from Radish and Seth Jones at 19:18. And then with 3.9 seconds left, the Hawks go to the power play again. So that rolls over into the second period. It's 2-2, and the momentum had completely shifted. It is Domi at 32 seconds on the power play from Seth Jones and Kane. So Kane, who had been stuck on one assist, finally gets another. It was a good pass by Jones, and Domi buries it. Now, 19 seconds later on the rush, while they're still announcing that goal, Beniers scores from Schwartz and Susie. So at 51 seconds on a rush, Beniers scores, and it's a tie game. Kraken then get a power play. That's killed off. The Hawks had a power play, but then there's a 4-minute penalty on Seth Jones, so that throws everything off. Everything gets killed off. Which it felt like was a boost for the Hawks. The shots are 7-5 for Seattle at the half. And then Vince Dunn scores on a rush, kind of an end-to-end glove side from McCann at 10:43. So now Seattle's got the lead back. However, the final 5 minutes of that period, Chicago was pressing. And so going into the third period, I was curious to see how things would go. Starts off well enough for Seattle. They were leading in shots 3-0 5 minutes in. They press 7 minutes in. And it looked like they were going to bring it home. Eberle was denied, and then the Hawks pressed back at 8.5 minutes. Donato can't bury one. That shot's held. And then Tyler Johnson with the second goal of the game. Scores from Taves and Radish at 12:57, and it's on a turnover. So some iffy puck handling by Seattle gets them into trouble. And then Dickinson scores from Lafferty at 13:10. So Sam Lafferty continues to get points. I have no idea what's going on. Lafferty, I guess, is the best point producer for Chicago right now. So Tanev's then denied on a rush. Seattle pulls the goaltender with 1 minute and 50 seconds left, but they lose this one 5-4. Chicago goes to 3-2 on the season. Seattle goes to 2-3-2 on the season. So for Seattle, they come off what was maybe the best game in the team's history, and this one doesn't feel the same, although the shots were in their favor. 12-8 in the first, 14-11 Chicago in the second, and then 11-5 Seattle in the third. Final shots 34-27 for the Kraken. They were 0-4 on the power play. Chicago 2-3, and they had the shorthanded goal. The hits 40-8 for Chicago. So not a very physical game by Seattle, and maybe that's part of it. Maybe Chicago wears them down physically in this one. Jones saved 22 out of 27. They need more saves, and Stalock saved 30 out of 34. He did pretty well after a rough start. So after allowing 2 goals on the first 4 shots, he saved 28 of the next 30. So not a bad bounce back there. Next up, we have the Detroit Red Wings at home against the Anaheim Ducks. Detroit remains unbeaten in regulation. It's Gibson versus Husso in this one. There's an early power play for the Wings, and they score on it. It's Larkin scoring from Kubalik and Sider at 2:02. That's Moritz Sider's first point of the year. And Larkin buried the rebound. Wings press for another, but at 5:31, on the second shot of the game by Anaheim, Zegras ties the game. Terry and Henrique with the assist. That's the first point of the season for Henrique. The Ducks then get a power play. That led to a shorthanded Rasmussen chance, which was poke checked by Gibson. That power play is killed off. just the one shot allowed. Things get punchy at the Ducks net. Gibson shoves a player down. Gibson was fired up in this one, and I get the feeling that the Ducks are starting to get frustrated with the start to this season too. The Wings come out of all that with a power play, and they score on it. So good power play for them today. Perron scores from Hronek and Kubalik at 13:28. Things get scrummy again. Wings come out of it with a power play. Kubalik was robbed on a rush. The power play is killed off. With 2:27 left, the Ducks get a power play. We ended up with 1 minute and 41 seconds of 5-on-3. That's killed off, and Sider's blocking shots. So after the first period, it's 2-1 Detroit. Very good period for them. Second period, the Ducks press to 2.5 minutes, but it's Joe Veleno that gets a goal to make it 3-1 from Ernie and Suter at 4:02, or 4:07, I should say. And it was a turnover. They score on the 2-on-1. Very good play. The Wings then press for more, although the actual shots are 4-1 for the Ducks at 7.5 minutes. The Ducks get a power play. Terry has a shot that saved. The Wings cleared out. Suter was denied on a break. Larkin fires one high. The Ducks cleared out. The Ducks press with 7.5 minutes left. The Wings had a 2-on-1. Beaulieu defends that. And then Sherratt was skating around a shift after that, just throwing big hits, and the crowd really appreciated it. The Wings press with 2 minutes left, and they come out of that second period with a 3-1 lead. Third period, the Wings are ahead in shots 3-1 at 3 minutes. They also get a power play. Hronek has a shot that's held, and then Kubalik scores on that power play from Sundqvist and Larkin at 3:44, and it was a one face-off by Larkin that set that up. Wings go back to the power play. Soderblom was robbed during that. They do kill that off. McTavish then had a wraparound that wouldn't go. And then Soderblom does get his second NHL goal from Rasmussen at 14:24. Buries the rebound on a 2-on-1. So Detroit ends up winning this one 5-1. They go to 3-0-2 on the season. The Ducks drop to 1-4-1. Tough start to the year for Anaheim. The shots 14-12 Detroit in the first, 9 apiece in the second, 18-12 Detroit in the third. Final shots 41-33 for the Wings. Power plays, Anaheim 0-4, Detroit 3-5. Hits 27-19 for Detroit. Gibson 36 saves on 41 shots. Husso 31 saves on 32 shots. Had a very good game after allowing a goal on the second shot. So that's how you bounce back. Next up, the Columbus Blue Jackets. So the Blue Jackets have been off to an unimpressive start to the season. I'm torn on whether or not this was their best game. So we'll go into this. It's Tarasov versus Halak. I think this was a tale of two goaltenders. You have one that's absolutely on the upswing based on this game, and one that didn't look that sharp. So the early jump was for the Rangers. Chinakhov has a net drive that's defended. The shots were 5-0 for New York at 6.5 minutes. They came out well. Tarasov was a wall. Foudy then gets Columbus's first shot at around the 8-minute mark. I've been a fan of Foudy's for a while. He's had a couple of down years. Maybe today's game, his first with Columbus this year, is a sign he's got it figured out. Not much room for either team at this stage. Kreider had a chance that was held. Lindgren's denied, and Tarasov really solid. And then Werenski scores from Foudy at 17:54. It was a really good rush opportunity, and he buries the rebound. The Rangers press to answer, but after one, it's 1-0 Columbus, even though they've been outshot. Second period, early press by Columbus, and then they score on a rush opportunity at 1:42. It's peak from Roslovic and Voracek. So, 2-0 Columbus, despite the fact they've been outshot to this point. Miller's then denied on a turnover. Columbus presses at 4.5 minutes. The shots are 4-2 in favor of the road team 6 minutes into the period. Zach Jones then had a shot that was an around-the-world save by Tarasov. So that's the taking the puck out here and bringing it around. It's still Patrick Waugh. And it's a bit of a hot dog move by a goaltender. And when a goalie does that, means he's really feeling it. And that's a good sign. So when you see a goaltender hot dogging a bit, when they flip the puck up on their glove and that's a sign that they're in a good space. They also announced that Blankenberg, who got hurt in the first, at this point would not return. Chinakhov gets his first goal of the season. He's been all around the net. It's about time he got one. From Foudy and Bean at 9 minutes. So Liam Foudy with two assists in his first game with Columbus this year. Again, I've got my fingers crossed for him. And that one was fired from a distance. That's one that I think Halak would like to have back. The Rangers get a power play. Things get pushy after a hold by Tarasov. That's killed off. The Rangers press with 6.5 minutes left with 3:15 left. The Rangers get a power play. and then they have a minute and 15 seconds of 5-on-3. And it felt like this was a key moment for Columbus. They're up by 3, but remember what happened against Pittsburgh last night. You can't let that happen again. During the 5-on-3, Panarin gets his 12th point of the season, his 4th goal at 18:44. So now he's all by himself in first place in the league in scoring. But then Columbus killed off the 5-on-4. So it wasn't as bad as it could have been. The Rangers did press to end the second period, and they had to be frustrated. They'd outshot them 25-14, and the difference really was in net, that Tarasov was fantastic. Third period, Columbus with a 2-on-1, that's defended. Columbus ends up getting a power play. There was a shorthanded 2-on-1. Trocheck fires wide on that. The power plays killed off, no shots, so it didn't provide any kind of momentum for Columbus. The Rangers press at 4 minutes, but they're not getting shots either. The shots are only one apiece at 5.5 minutes. Keandre Miller then had a shot that was blocked out. Robinson has a rush chance that deflects high. The next one is not. He scores from Goodbranson and Corrali at 14-13, and he just tipped it up high. Not much chance for Halak on that one. And then Kent Johnson scores from Voracek and Roslovic at 14:57. So Columbus ends up winning this one kind of in a laugher. They go to 3-4 on the season with the 5-1 victory. The Rangers drop to 3-2-1. And yes, this means a massive adjustment on the power rankings board. I'm looking at this right there. It's right there. Can you see it? It's just outside it. No, it's not just outside the view. But yeah, big adjustment for the Rangers coming out of this one. The shots favored them. First period 9-6, second period 16-8, and then the third, the shots are 7-6 Columbus. Final shots 31-21 for the Rangers. Power plays Columbus 0 for 1. The Rangers 1 for 3. The hits also favored the Rangers 26-15. Tarasov's the story here. 30 saves on 31 shots. Halak 16 saves on 21 shots. And the difference between Shesterkin and Halak's numbers so far this year they're stark, and we'll see if it stays that way. But they need Halak to go in there and give them some good goaltending when he goes in there, or else Shesterkin's going to get worked pretty hard this year. Next on the board, the Islanders in against the Florida Panthers. So for the Islanders, this was honestly a pretty good game tonight, or well, this afternoon for me, anyways. But yeah, this is Florida. Florida's a little different this year than last year in their play. I kind of like it better. Varlamov versus Knight in this one, and it takes 39 seconds for Lundell to score on what was a great forecheck by him. Great individual effort. Nice goal, makes it 1-0. Panthers get a power play. Tkachuk was denied during that. That power play is killed off. The Islanders then get a power play. That was killed off as well. Panthers press. They end up getting another power play, which was killed off as well, just the one shot. Lucerinen would end up scoring from Lundell at 9:13. And during that play, Dobson takes a puck up high, and he exited at that point. And so, yeah, that's one of those scary things. And it's not like the Florida Panthers have to stop playing because a player gets hurt, but yeah, it's got to be frustrating if you're the Islanders. The shots are 10-3 though for Florida with 8 minutes left. Things get pushy after a hold by Spencer Knight. The Islanders get a power play. That's killed off. Barkov was denied in close. So after the first period, it's 2-0 Florida. Second period, the Islanders had a 3-on-2. That was defended. Panthers press at 2 minutes. Martin was downed, and they discussed it. And initially, they gave a penalty to Stahl, but it's a 4-minute penalty to Kierstead when they checked on the replay. I don't think they saw it initially. I think maybe a linesman came over and told the referees, yeah, there's something, and then they checked it. So I'm fine with that. Like, I'm okay with referees double-checking a replay to see if a penalty should be called. I don't think that's a bad thing at all. It was confusing and confounding on some level, but again, get the call right. So the Panthers didn't let them set up, but eventually, during the first penalty, they score. It's Lee from Barzal at 4:27. And then Gudas didn't have a stick for a portion of the second penalty as it's ending. So it's a 5-on-3.5, but they survive. They kill that off. Panthers then press at 7 minutes. Varlamov was sharp on some deflections that were going on in front of the net. Panthers get a power play. It is killed off. There's a near miss for Tkachuk soon after. Barkov has a net feed. That was a near miss for them. So we're going to the third period. Score is 2-1 in favor of the Florida Panthers. Full Panthers power play to start, based on an event that takes place near the end of the second period. Reinhart couldn't bury one in close. The power plays killed off just the 2 shots. But then at 2:56, on a really good press, honestly, fourth line, good energy line here. It's buried by Lomberg, and the assists go to White and Kierstead. So White continues to be one of their better scorers. So while Reinhart's being kept off the board, Barkov's not lighting up the world. Tkachuk doesn't get on the board tonight either. The role guys are the ones that are, getting those goals. Lundell, Lusterinen, and Lomberg. Apparently your name had to start with L to get a goal if you're Florida. Shots are 5-0 for the Panthers at 5.5 minutes. They did a pretty good job to that point of locking it down. There wasn't any sustained press by the Islanders in about that first half, but then the Islanders get a power play. It becomes a 5-on-3, and during the 5-on-3, they score. It's Lee from Barzal and Nelson at 9:07. The Panthers did kill off the 5-on-4. Bailey is then denied in close in front of the net. There's a net feed to Lomberg. That's blocked. The Islanders would pull the goaltender. They had pressure during the 6-on-5. Could not bury the puck into the back of the net. Your final score is 3-2 for Florida. They go to 4-1-1 on the season. For the Islanders, they are 2-4 on the season now with this loss. The shots, 15-8 Florida in the first, 10-7 Florida in the second, and then 10-7 Islanders in the third. Final shots 32-25 in favor of the Panthers. Power plays 2 for 6 for the Islanders, 0 for 4 for Florida. The hits 29-9 for the Islanders. So while Seattle wasn't throwing a lot of hits, neither were the Florida Panthers. Varlamov saves 29 out of 32. Knight saves 23 out of 25. So yeah, Florida with a pretty decent game. I kind of felt bad for the Islanders, but by the time they showed that fight back and everything, they were already down by a couple, and Florida's pretty good at protecting leads. Again, I'm more impressed with this Florida Panthers team right now, I think, than I was with the one last year where there was all the flash and dash and so many goals. This feels more like a team that's ready to play some playoff hockey, and I'm here for it. All right, last up is San Jose in against Philadelphia. Now, the schedule makers have no idea what game is going to be, well, boring. But when I saw San Jose Philly was going to be the last game, I was kind of scared because, Philadelphia, second half of a back-to-back, San Jose being San Jose. It was Reimer versus Sandstrom. Sandstrom has never won an NHL game. I think this was his 7th appearance in the National Hockey League, so he's kind of due. Sharks press at 4 minutes. The shots were 3-2 in their favor at 7 minutes. The crowd was quiet. I assume it's because the Phillies are in the World Series, which, again, shows that my lack of faith in the San Diego Padres, my favorite baseball team, it's well-founded. I expect the Padres to win a World Series right after I expect the Canucks to win the Stanley Cup. So Allison has a rush chance that fizzles. Good pace, few prime shots, though. There was a fast game, but there wasn't really much going on at either end of the ice. Sanheim fires one wide on a rush. The Sharks press with 7.5 minutes left. The Flyers were blocking a lot of those shots, though. And then Konechny's denied on a rush. He didn't die. He was denied on a rush. So we go to the second period. Scoreless. Good early flow again. So it was a fast game. That is one thing I'll say. The game was fast. Things were at a good pace. Sharks couldn't get to the net. Hurdle to Meyer. That chance ends up deflecting out. JVR took a puck to the hand and hadn't returned since the first period, and pretty sure he didn't come back for the whole game. So we'll see over the next couple of days how long he's going to be out. There's a power play for the Sharks. That led to a shorthanded break for Lawton. That was held by Reimer. Myers denied. Power play's killed off. The Flyers press. That draws them a power play. Hayes defends a shorthanded rush for Sturm. And then, Farabee scores on a rush. However, that goal was offside. So, and again, we're at that point in the year where as soon as I hear they're challenging for offside, I take the goal off the board right away and I just put it's offside, because generally they don't challenge it unless it's offside. It's very rare. It does happen, but it's very rare. So the Sharks finish the kill. Myers denied as the Sharks press. And then Erik Karlsson opens the scoring from Hurdle and Barabanov at 9:34. And it was a really good press that led to the goal. Smart play by San Jose there. The Sharks then press with 8.5 minutes left. Provorov has a shot that's held. Noah Cates with the screen in front. Meyer was slow to get up after a hit. Lindblom is then denied on a 2-on-1. And this is where I kind of realized, this crowd is so quiet. There just wasn't, and I understand, and somebody on Twitter said to me, well, it's San Jose and Philadelphia. There was a crowd in Vancouver last night that at least at the start of the game sounded really optimistic, even though the team was 0-3-2. Philly comes into this game 4-1. I'm just a little bit surprised that the marketplace isn't maybe this team can do something. If the pessimism is still basically along the lines of, yeah, they're 4-1, but screw them, I kind of feel bad for members of the team. So, yeah, but they're still the Flyers. That's something. The Sharks press with 2.5 minutes left, and eventually they put one through Sandstrom. It's tipped. Lawrence from Megna and Nieto at 18:29. So Lawrence tips it in front of the net. It's in. And then it felt to me kind of like the 2021-2022 Flyers were back. This was a question I was asking myself at the end of the period. Are we back to that team again? So we go to the third with the San Jose Sharks ahead 2-0. Sandstrom was sharp early. Kind of has to be. They're down by 2. The Flyers press at 2.5 minutes. Sturm has a net drive. That's held. Then there's a delay game call that gives the Flyers a power play. There's a shorthanded rush for Couture that was defended. That's killed off, and we start to hear some booing too. So Philly fans are, and at least I was like, okay, so they're paying some attention here. There was even a point where there was a great save by Sandstrom, and the announcers even said, I don't think the fans are paying much attention. So yeah, probably still like, how about those Phillies? Yeah, Philly. Who cares about the Flyers? Phillies. So the shots are 8-4 for the Flyers at the half. They were doing their best, but Reimer at this point is locking it down. Sharks are blocking, time winding down. You could tell they'd get out, they'd get to center, they'd dump it in, get their line change in. Tortorella benching a couple of guys. I'm sure this will be talked about in the media, but it really shouldn't be news when a guy gets benched. It should be more along the lines of, yeah, that's how coaching works. If a player's not performing up to standard, they do risk the chance of the odds of getting benched. It can happen. And so I agree with Tortorella on this. Lazinski was then denied on a rush. Reimer denies Frost as well. Again, Reimer was the story in the third period. With 4:41 left, they pulled the goaltender. A bit early, but it's Tortorella, right? So that's not that unusual for him. And Sturm hits the empty net. Couture and Cunnin with the assists at 16:06. So that's the 4th point of the season for Couture. San Jose wins 3-0. They go to 2-6 on the season. Philadelphia 4-2. This is a tough loss for Philadelphia. I understand it's back-to-back, but still, you come home and it just didn't feel like they were in it. So the shots in this one, 9-7 Philadelphia in the first, 12-5 San Jose in the second, and then 17-6 Philadelphia in the third, where Reimer takes over. Final shots, 31-25 for Philadelphia. Power plays, not prominent. San Jose 0-1, Philadelphia 0-2. The hits, 32-26 for Philly. Reimer saves all 31 shots for his 26th career shutout. And Sandstrom saves 22 out of 24. He had a good game, didn't get any goal support, and so he's still winless in his young career. There you go. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below as always. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through. You just happened upon this video. Thank you guys so much for watching, for all your support. So after watching hockey for 12 hours yesterday, watch it for 7 hours today. That way I can update a rankings board because I hate everybody's team. So there you go. Thank you guys so much for all your support. Like I said, I will talk to you again soon.